Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Spoop. I'm your host, Don, and today we are going to cap off the trilogy of Fear Street on Netflix. This is, of course, Fear Street Part 3, 1666. For those of you who did not catch my previous two recordings, Fear Street is a book series that was written by R.L. Stine and then optioned into a movie on Netflix. For those of you who may have read the Goosebumps books when they were younger, you would assume that maybe this would be a child-appropriate movie. This one is more child-appropriate than the other two, but still not really child-appropriate. I would not recommend watching this with your children. However, if you already allow your children to watch horror films, they've probably seen worse, because I know that I have. And I did when I was watching horror films as a kid, so that is 100% up to you. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. You're your own person. So anyway, as per usual on Let's Talk Spook, we break things down into 6 separate categories. Those 6 separate categories are story, acting, music, atmosphere, look, and creep. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into Fear Street Part 3, 1666. So it opens with Sarah, who is played by the girl who played Dina, helping a pig to give birth. The good name gets dropped, which is a name that's was in the previous 2 movies. Is the sheriff from the first movie. And then a bunch of the actors from the previous movies play new parts in this movie, which for some of them is kind of foreshadowing. For some of them it's not. But I just thought it was interesting that they brought them all in for this. I assumed that it was a stylistic choice and not just a lack of actors. So anyway, as we move on. So Sarah ends up flirting with the pastor's daughter. The pastor's daughter is, of course, played by the same woman who played Sam. Then there's some foreshadowing about darkness inside of Sarah, given by a guy referred to as Crazy Tom. The girls go to meet this suspicious hag out in the woods who may or may not be a witch. There's lots more name drops. They drop a lot of names of characters, last names of characters that were in the previous films, to kind of give you an idea that, these families have been in Shadyside for a very long time. They get to the hag's place. She's apparently not there, so they decide to rifle through her stuff, which is probably not a good idea if you think she's a witch. Sarah finds a book in there about the devil and maybe about making a deal with him. The witch lays some foreshadowing about the devil being after her. And then we get a lady love story. The pastor starts acting weird, so they blame it on the lady love story. And then food starts to spoil, animals go mad, and then the pastor who started acting weird ends up taking a bunch of children into the church and ripping their eyeballs out. Fortunately, you don't see it. You just see the aftermath. And his own eyeballs out of his own head. Yeah, so that's not good. And then from that point on, it kind of just gets darker and things move forward. There's a big twist in the story. This was a really good capstone. The way that they ended it was a great way to kind of pull the stories together and give you a good, feel good about it. Not really feel good, but a feel good about it ending. Very complete story. So 4 out of 5 for story. Acting is fairly good. About the same as part 1. Although they had some good accents, they definitely gave it a good period feel. So I'm going to have to go and give it a 4 out of 5 for acting. Music, nothing really special, but it gets the job done. So we're going to go ahead and give it a 3 out of 5. The atmosphere is engaging. It makes you root for the quote-unquote bad guy, you care about the characters again. That may be partially due to the build-up from the previous 2 movies. If you just watch this one by itself, you probably wouldn't care as much, but it is capstone to a trilogy. Who watches a trilogy from the 3rd movie unless it's Halloween or Friday the 13th or something like that? You don't, right? So taking it as a whole, atmosphere, good, 4 out of 5. The look, watching a hand get ripped off definitely made me cringe. Other than that, nothing too special to report on the looks. There's no real monsters or anything like that, so 3 out of 5 for look. Creep. This movie's not scary. It's the least creepiest movie of the 3. There's no real jump scares, anything like that. However, it does have Ruby Lane singing again, which is creepy. So 2 out of 5 for Creep, which gives us a grand total of 3.3 out of 5 for Fear Street Part 3, 1666. And if you'll allow me to do some math really quick, I'm going to go ahead and tally these scores all together and tell you what the overall trilogy would be. So 3.3 plus 3.7 is 7. And then, so 10.4 divided by 3. 3 goes into 14. Oh man, my math teacher would be so upset with me right now. 4. All right, so for a grand total for the entire trilogy, 3.4 skulls. Strongly recommend. Thoroughly enjoyed it, especially part 2. Thank you for tuning in.